brief overview of what XSharp is, where we come from, and what it can be for you guys. We'll do it together, so let me introduce myself. My name is Robert van der Hulst. I'm an independent software developer from the Netherlands. I've been in the industry since indeed the early days of DBase, and I became independent in '88, so that's why you see the grey hair is real, it's not painted. I started this project a couple of years ago. So, next to me is Fabrice.
So yeah, my name is Fabrice Foray. So I'm most of the time a teacher, teaching software development in a kind of community college in France, and I'm part of the development team since the beginning with Robert, because we had some adventures together before XSharp. So you know, working with good friends is good work sometimes.
Okay. So what is XSharp? The shortest abbreviation is that it's a new incarnation of an old development language. And our target audience is 50 plus. We realize that. And our target audience are people who have worked with XBase for years, and they are forced with new challenges and don't want to throw away their old code. So the agenda for today is a bit of history, why, what, etc. I'm going to do mostly PowerPoint with a bit of code, and Fabrice is going to show you the nice and good stuff. Good. A bit of history. I'm not sure what happened, something with my presentation. I don't like this transition, but anyway. I'm not going to read it all out. We started in DBase. DBase was a success. It moved from CPM to DOS, and then a lot of competitors came. They looked at DBase and said, wow, this is great, especially when you had more than 2 work areas, because then it became usable. And several competitors were there, and FoxBase was one of them. You guys are in the FoxBase community. But I put some old names in there because some of them may be familiar to you. Ergo, Force, who remembers them, Flagship, and many others. XBase is what they were referred to as a community, basically, as a common denominator. Some of them were faster than DBase. FoxPro introduced more compact index files because disk speed was an issue those days, and disk size was an issue. I remember starting my first DBase with 2 floppy disks. So yeah, disk size did matter. Nowadays they say size doesn't matter. Well, it did matter in those days. So by having compact indexes, it made it faster and used less memory. So some of them, like Clipper, was there because they said we want to release a product without a runtime. We want to have royalty-free EXEs, and Clipper took that niche of the market. And then Microsoft came with Windows. And a lot of these products had to change because customers wanted applications in Windows. Of course, the old code was running, but new code wanted to use the Windows features. Also, some of these projects were killed, some of them were sold. It was like quite a lot to do in this XBase market. Microsoft bought FoxBase, and it became FoxPro, but Clipper was sold from Natuka to Computer Associates. They did Visual Objects. Well, I'm not going to read them all out loud. Some of them are dead now, and some of them have moved to further on and have evolved in the future. I think there's also a few new products in those days. Harper was arriving. It's an open source project, actually to do Clipper kind of code, not just on Windows but also on Linux. And XSharp also a player in the market, and they were introduced because they also wanted to target OS2. We're all happy know what happened with OS2, but XSharp is also still on the market. And in the 2010s, most of these products are dead now. Microsoft has killed the development of Visual FoxPro, and DBase is still there. It's called DBase LLC, but from what I see, look at their website, they don't do much. Visual Object was also sold to Graphics. Graphics did Vulkan, but that the company also closed up in 2018. Microsoft stopped developing. In short, there's no new development. But the environment where our apps runs changed. So what do you do? Because if all these products are frozen or dead, or whatever you want to call it, what do you do if your customer wants new features, wants access from the web? Now, some of the old solutions could be to use old technology. what I think old technology is convert your stuff so it runs COM and expose functionality through COM, and then your Visual FoxPro apps could be called from C# and you can expose your functionality. But it's not the same as running in the C#.NET environment, because debugging is much more complicated and you have to think about 32 and 64 bits, and it's much more complicated. So I think the X-based languages are a bit left behind, like orphan languages. And that for us was the reason to say, okay, we have an origin in this market. We were both part of the Vulkan team, and we have had a look at how you convert X-based apps to .NET. And in 2015, Microsoft released the source code to its C# compiler. Really, Microsoft made a real big decision then. Because for us, it says, okay, if Microsoft releases the source to its C# compiler, if we want to do a compiler from X-Base for .NET, we don't have to do it all. We can probably use their source code and extend it to make it understand X-Base. That's what we did. So we formed a team. Fabrice is it. We have two guys in Greece, and myself. We formed a team, and we said, let's see if we can try to pull this off. So that's what we did. The plan was we create a new compiler on top of Roslyn. Roslyn is the code name for the C# compiler. We made the compiler flexible, so it doesn't just understand our niche of the language, because we were from the VO Vulkan, but we said we must make it open because no one else is going to do this. And we think there's also a need in X-Base Plus area, in the FoxPro area, in the DBase area, to enter the .NET world. So we tried to do it in a flexible way, and we also said we need to have a runtime, because the .NET framework is a huge toolbox, but it doesn't know DBF files. It doesn't have a left or a right function or a substring function, or it doesn't have dynamic arrays. It has 10,000 of other collections, but it doesn't have the arrays that we know with an A-len and an A-size and an A-insert. So we said we must make sure that we supply the tools so that your code doesn't have to start using a list of was something, but you can still use an array and you can A-int, A-delete, etc. So that's what we said we need to do with runtime. So where are we now? We've done a compiler, we have done a runtime. We have integrated our language in Visual Studio, so you can use Visual Studio, and if you work in a team, you can have colleagues developing in C#, other colleagues developing in XSharp, and you can just debug from the C# code into the XSharp code and back. Have an integrated environment that supports multiple languages. For us, that was important, but we think single language is something from the past. No one will use just one language in the future. We have languages that are better in certain things, and we have languages that are better in other things, and you use them together. And especially if you have a shop with X-based code, you will not be able to hire new X-based developers. The guys you get on your team do C#, do VB, might do something else, but they still have to work with your old code too. So it would be really useful to integrate in a language where you can use both things at the same time. Of course, we have some documentation, and we set up an online forum so people can help each other with questions. And actually, we see in the VO Vulkan market, there used to be a quite active international news group, but many of those people have come over to our forum. It's a bit like FoxSite or one of the FoxPro forums. So we want to not just support XSharp, but we're also a platform where people with questions about visual objects come, and we help them, because we know those products better than someone else. And if we have a support contract, but I'll speak about that later. Okay, so we have Visual Studio integration. We support at the moment 2015, 17, and 19. That means that we have a project system, we have our own project files. In the editor, we have IntelliSense. Why is it doing this? We support all kinds of other editors. And we have some custom designers, especially for people who come from visual objects, but we may have custom designers for FoxPro too. That's a decision we have to make. Okay, a little bit about the compiler and some other stuff, and then Fabrice is going to show you the good stuff. The XSharp compiler. What is it? Well, I've drawn this picture of a pyramid to give you an idea about what's in our compiler, what did we do, and what did Microsoft do. So Roslyn is the foundation. All our code runs on top of Roslyn. What we have done is we changed the front end of the compiler and taught it how to understand XBase. And if you want to look at the source code from Roslyn, it's all on the web, so it's really cool. And you can see stuff that they are working on, new stuff, but you can also see the current technology. So they have different branches, and it's really cool to see that. And there's all kind of discussions about what features should be put in the next build, and they decide online, or at least they communicate about it online. We extend that and we put a new capstone on top of it, and that's how our XSharp compiler was built. So 90% of the code is Microsoft code. And the good thing is that this code has been tested by a lot of people. So if we are careful not to break that code, we know that code is stable and secure and works as expected. Okay, a little bit about dialects. I said we have different dialects in our language. We started with what we call the core dialect. So when we started the project, we had Roslyn, and we said, okay, we want to use the same thing that XSharp has, but we will want to use new keywords, our keywords. So XSharp doesn't have function and procedure. XSharp doesn't have for and for, or for next, how it's called in the VO dialect. It has a for with parens and curly braces. Oh, we don't want curly braces, because that's not what we're used to. So we made our language and said, we will develop an XBase language on top of XSharp, where our core dialect does not add new types. So in the core dialect you have system string and system int, and of course we have keywords, system and int, which in the back point to that, so you don't have to do the full name, but it's that basically. So we didn't add support for any additional stuff. There's no, in the core dialect, there's no DBF support, etc. It's just plain .NET. On top of that, we've added other dialects, and as you can see in this slide, what the current state of development is. So the core is ready, and VO and Vulkan, that is our origin, is also ready. At the moment, we're working on completing support for XSharp and Visual FoxPro. For Visual FoxPro, I would say the compiler is almost ready. There are a few issues that we're still looking at, and we do not have all the functions and classes yet. And about the same is true for XSharp. The compiler is ready, but we do not have all the support functions and classes. Hardware is work in progress. So what about Visual FoxPro support? How far are we with Visual FoxPro support? Fabrice will show you some things in action, but the short version is that the language is almost ready. There are some corner issues on some things that we have to think about how we implement it, but in general, normal stuff is ready. So your procedural code is working, you can define a class. With the defined class, you can have property methods. So say you have a procedure with an access or assign suffix becomes a property, but you can also declare properties. All that stuff is working. We have some of the FoxPro specific functions working, but not all of them. And we have a big difference that we discovered, we didn't even realize, but when we had a look at FoxPro, is that FoxPro is command-based. So you guys do use, file, go top, scan and scan. In our side of the XBase family, we're more function-based. So we do not do use, we do use area. So what we've done is we used a technology that was also available in Clipper and some of the other dialects called a preprocessor. So we take the commands and we translate them into the functions. So you can use whatever you did before, and we'll generate function call from it, and that way you use the same underlying technology, but and you can use your old familiar front-end commands. So we use also the Visual Studio IDE. That's maybe something you guys have to learn to use. Some of you may have used Visual Studio because you've done C# or other languages. If you haven't done that before, this may be difficult in the beginning. I know Visual Studio is very powerful, can do a lot, but it can also be very overwhelming for new developers. There's so many features in there, it's easy to get lost. So that's, could be a challenge for you guys. Let's skip the rest. question that I got was about speed. So what happens with your Visual FoxPro code if you run it and you move it to .NET? Will it be faster? Will it support everything? And I think the best way to do it is to show you an example. One of the things that has a big impact on speed is how you declare your code. That's what I have to say. FoxPro is very, very flexible. It's therefore very good for prototyping, but you can do almost everything that code has forbidden in that language. That's why your C# colleagues will frown, because you can just throw in a variable without declaring, and it magically works. People who come from other languages with untyped variables like Python or something, they won't see that as strange, but from the C#, C++ point of view, this is really nightmare code. What I'll show you is a short sample for the performance and give you an idea what you can do in your code to actually make it fly. So what I've done is, this is not business logic code. Now I don't have advanced, so I don't have the keywords, but how do I enlarge font? Over here. Enlarge font. Can you read this?
A little bit more.
Okay, this is I'm not going to explain in the details because it's not about the algorithm, it's about speed, but this is a program that calculates prime numbers based on the sieve algorithm. So we basically set up an array and then we take off all the multiples of a number. So we start with 2 and then I'm going to set 4, 6, 8 and 10 to false. Then I'm going to start with 3 and I'm going to say 6, 9 and 12 will be false. So 12 was false already and 6 as well. But so that way we're going to iterate through the array, and then in the end, all the ones that have still true, because I'm storing true and false in the array, all the ones that are still true must be prime numbers. And I'm stopping the loop. Let's say if you would do it between 1 and 100, I'm seeing if I'm at 9, then 9 times 9 is 81. I'll still continue, and I will skip 10 because 10 is a multiple of 2. Then I get to 11, and I know that 11 times 11 is larger than my maximum number, so I can stop, because I have all the multiples of 11 that are below 100 I've already had, because they were prime numbers before me. And that way, that's a very common algorithm. And I'm doing a large number here, and let's see, it's 1 million, so it's a very large number, and let's see what Fox does with it. So if I run this on my machine, Fox calculates 78,000 prime numbers in 0.889 seconds, which is not bad. And of course you can argue about the algorithm, but this is code that uses untyped, undeclared variables. FoxPro doesn't mind, doesn't complain, it just runs it. I've taken the code and copy-pasted it over. I can copy-paste it again if you don't trust me, but this is the same code. So we have a procedure now called prime1, because I do some variations. It does the same undeclared variables. Let's build it. We're in Visual Studio, and in Visual Studio, to run code, you have to build it, or you can just press the run button and it will compile automatically if something has changed. But I want to show you what happens if I build it. So I'm going to rebuild it. It rebuilds, and we see some messages over here. I have told Visual Studio that I want to see compiler output, and the compiler warns us that we're using undeclared variables. It says variable x start has not been declared, assuming this is a field of mempool. And if you look at the error list in Visual Studio, you will also see the same message. But they are yellow, the exclamation mark, they are warnings. And this is allowed because I know my project, undeclared variables is okay with me. I know this is FoxPro code, and I know they do things that you probably shouldn't do, but this is on purpose. So let's run this. I am running prime1 now. So remember, FoxPro was, no, I need to go, we need to run it like this. Not with the keyboard. So this is actually slow, as you can see. Isn't that disappointing? Maybe I did a mistake, let's try it again. So what took, I don't remember that, what took a little less than a second in FoxPro takes 6 seconds in XSharp, sorry. Then we can stop the session. It's not good for us. Yeah. You can all go home. No, it's not good. I'll want to show you a second version. And the only thing I've changed, I've said, okay, let's be good Boy Scouts and let's declare our variables. And in this case, I know that I'm going to iterate with integral numbers, so let's declare them as int. I'm using a var keyword over here, which is something we've added to the language that C# also has. It says to compiler, okay, look at the right-hand side of the assignment and figure out what the result is and just declare the variable as that, so I don't have to declare it myself. Compiler, in most cases, is smart enough to figure out that the result of seconds, which is a function that you guys also have, is a floating point number. So it'll return a floating point and declare the variable as floating point. Now, enough of that, let's just run it. Now it's point 21.
So see the right of the terminal.
It's point 21 seconds, but that's better. But I'm not completely happy with this. So I did set a third version.
Can y'all hear in the back, or is the air conditioning cutting out? Okay.
Do I need to put the mic on or just shout a bit louder? And right now I was using an array type, which is like the array that you have in FoxPro. The good thing about an array is that it's flexible, so you can put anything in there. But in this case, I know that I'm only putting logical variables in there. So why would you declare something that has, let's say, a polymorphic value if you know you're only putting in logicals? So my third sample is going to tell .NET that I want logicals in there. So my third sample is about the same, except I've also made another change and declared the variables as int64 because I think maybe it's a good idea if we try larger numbers. So what I've done here, to begin with, my variable is now in a logic array of size nmax. Let's start with the same nmax that I had before. I'm also showing you a new feature in our language. I always have problems looking at the size of large numbers, and I have to start counting zeros. So we've added something that C# also has. We allow you to put underscores in there to format your numbers to make them better readable. So I'm doing the same 1 million, and it should return me 78,000 rows. And now it's 0.04 seconds. 0.04. So that's quite fast. Now, of course, the challenge now is what will happen if we do more. It takes longer, but it's at 1.84 seconds. So to calculate 5 million prime numbers, I'm not sure whether the algorithm is correct. I have a feeling that it's too many, but anyway, if we do the same algorithm in FoxPro, we get the same result, and it could be the same incorrect result, I don't care, as long as it's the same result. So let's try this in FoxPro, so I'm going to do 100 times more. And FoxPro tells me that there's not enough memory. So as you can see, and it is due to the fact that FoxPro uses polymorphic variables in the array, and we were smart enough to use an array of logic, which is just 1 byte per array element, which uses much less memory. Anyway, what I would like to illustrate with this is that your FoxPro code will run unchanged, but if you want to benefit from what the framework can do, you'll be rewarded if you start adding types in there. You can do that in FoxPro already. The compiler will ignore your as type blocks, but in the .NET framework you'll be rewarded if you do it. So if you are a good behaving developer and you declare your variables, you will be rewarded with good speed. I think it's about time, because Fabrice is really impatient, to show you a bit more, because what we'll do is we'll bring your FoxPro code unchanged to .NET, but we'll open the .NET toolbox for you, and .NET can bring you a lot extra. We added some extra features to the language, but I also know that Fabrice will show you that you can also run your code on another platform. You're not bound to Windows anymore. You can run your code on Linux and other platforms. So I'll hand over the beamer to Fabrice. I don't break anything when I do. I'm well known for breaking things during the session. Yeah, he breaks things before the session. If any of you guys put in your business card to win our computer monitor, you can still win it, but it's broken. We have a nice star in this screen now. But you can still, if you want to take it home as decoration, and this is my memory of the conference, you're still welcome to win it. But I have a gut feeling that we have to throw it away.
So I also have 2 PowerPoints, and we will see later which one you want to see, or if we pick some part on the different presentation. But I was willing to start with, let's say, some FoxPro code. First of all, I'm not at all a FoxPro developer. For me, the Fox is, let's say, a wild animal, you know. So I have to tame it. As Robert said, we are more used with function code. We are more used with objects and then method, property, and so on. So I have the ability to put parentheses everywhere and have some codes and return. And so rewriting stuff using commands was a little bit disturbing for me. But okay, I tried to create something that might be a good FoxPro code. So if I've done some things wrong, please tell me. So what I've tried to do was to have a simple use of a TBF file, use your scan and scan in order to show what's inside the TBF, and then add some information to that TBF file. And then, after adding that blank record and fitting it, I tried to do the same just to check that my add was done. Okay, so, well, let's see. So I have my first welcome message. Okay, yeah. And okay, so let's go for the scan and scan. So what you have here is the content of my TBF file, and I use the string in order to record the record number, and then the field, first name, last name, and country. Okay, so then I open a blank record, I fill the record, and then I will print it again. So we can see that Cecile has appeared in the list of the customer, the users that I have. So it's pure FoxPro language, but it runs in Visual Studio after compiling with the XSharp compiler. The funny part is, okay, let's go, just to be clear, we're in Visual Studio, so we have in the middle the text editor, and on the right we have what is called the Solution Explorer. And in Visual Studio, a solution is a set of projects. And these projects can be applications or class libraries. Okay? And in order to make it simple, I just regrouped all my samples in the same solution. So currently I'm running this sample, and we have the PRG that is open in the editor area. So if I go to the folder of that solution, of that project, I will go to the binary folder, debug, and this is my exe, which is quite small, 8K, and we have then also all the DLLs need in order to run the application. And I also have the TBF file, which is there because I put it in my project, so every time that I build my application, it will copy-paste my TBF in the destination folder. Okay?
Clean every time you run the game. You get a fresh fresh copy of the file.
Yeah, exactly. The sample, I thought it was simpler.
In our session tomorrow, we'll explain what these DLLs are and what you need.
So what I have here is Ubuntu, which is running in a VirtualBox environment. So I have an empty folder, and what I will do is just get my files, everything. I don't need XML file, but anyway, don't care. Let's copy paste everything. So I drag and drop my files to Ubuntu, to my virtual machine. Okay? You agree that I didn't done anything except copy paste, right? So I go to the terminal in Ubuntu. I am in the folder where I have all my files, so it's the executable and the DBF. And in Linux, in Ubuntu, there is a runtime for .NET, which is called Mono. So in Windows, it is something that is provided by Microsoft, which is called the CLR, the Common Language Runtime. And in Linux, we have the same thing, but it's called Mono. Name changed because the origin is not exactly the same, but nowadays it is all Microsoft product. And in fact, in the next .NET Core version, everything has the same name, is under the same banner. So, as I'm still in the framework, I still have two different names. Anyway, if I ask Mono, is it big enough? If I ask Mono to run my simple vfp.exe application, then I have my application which is running in Linux, exactly the same, no wiggle, no magical thing. In fact, the magical one is Mono, okay, which runs my .NET code. So, for example, you can see that the date is in English format or the US format because my Ubuntu machine is running in the US environment. And if I go back to my previous, I've closed it. If I go back to my previous Windows application, you had the date in French because my computer is set in French. Okay. Anyway, if I continue and I press, so I will have what we had there. I mean, we will have the use, scan, and scan app and blend running in Linux against the DBF that is here in the folder. Okay, let's try. Yeah, okay, I can open my DBF in Linux without any change, and I have app and record, and I can check, yeah, system is here twice because it was already in the DBF, right? So, if I run it again, system will be here twice, and then 3 times, and every time that I will run my application, I will have app and blank replaced with system information. Right? So this is not a fake application. I'm not trying to fake you with the kind of movies that is running. No, this is the real code that is running now. We have some little changes in life, but without changing the application. Just a simple copy paste to Linux. Because the code we are producing is a real .NET code. And .NET is running in Windows and Linux. And I'm pretty sure I don't have a Mac, but Mono runs on Mac OS. So this code should run also on Mac OS. Because currently I'm not accessing the big difference of all these OSs is all the graphic stuff. I'm just running terminal information. Which means that if I had created a web service which doesn't use graphics stuff, it would run exactly the same on all these 3 platforms, because on these 3 platforms I have the same kind of runtime.
What is important to realize is that we're not using Windows API to access the files. We're using the managed way of opening files, writing files, closing files. That's why it runs on all platforms. We try not to touch anything Windows 32 specific, so it will run on all platforms. And it will run in .NET Core as well. And by the limit, or by not allowed to do that, we may, at some points, be slower, but we gain because it's then multi-platform. And for us, that was more important, because whatever we do with speed, tomorrow's computer will be twice as fast. Portability is the main thing here. But maybe, Fabrice, I think this is kind of boring and terminal stuff. Don't you have something sexy?
Yeah, first I would like to continue with .NET. What I have here is another kind of VFP software where I have tried to define places the way that you define places. So we support the define class keywords and the end define in the end. We also support to have functions inside a class, which what we call methods in Visual Objects. And by the way, I don't have to set the end func, but yeah, okay, I can add that information. If I don't add the end func, the function will end as soon as we find another, let's say, entity, another piece of code. Okay? Because this was the way Visual Object was working. So we support it this way. But okay, if you have the ability to put end func in the end of a function, yeah, you can. We recognize that too. Okay, so I can define a class that is a custom class inheriting from the custom class, the same as you have in FoxPro, and I can also have my another class that is inheriting from the one that I have here. We're supporting that. And how would I call that? Yeah, you see that, okay, I can use the create object syntax that you have in FoxPro in order to create my objects, but I can also write it the way that we write it in Visual Objects. So instead of having user ID as a string, we said that, we said that user ID is the class that we have, and the curly brace indicates that we are calling the constructor of that class. So these two calls are similar, right? So, okay, I create these objects, I call the function, the function on the object. I can also call the access property, which is in fact a function, and I discovered that, okay, in FoxPro, if you want to create an access property, you have to write a function with underscore access in the end, and then it will turn into a kind of read-only property. Okay, these are also things that we are supporting now in a compiler. But I think this sample is more interesting because you see that in on my list of projects, I have a C# project. And if I go to that C# project, I have a simple, I try to make it simple. This is C#, and I'm creating a class, and I have few methods. So one return an answer, which is always 42. I hope that you know why. And you can even try to get the corresponding question. What is the question and what is the answer? And so depending on the level that you ask, I have a simple switch just to try to produce different results depending on the level that you pass. So what I'm doing here is that in my FoxPro code, I'm copying my C# code. You know that currently the only way that you have to move your application to C# is to expose it as a COM object and to consume that COM object in C#. So okay, but as we are a .NET compiler, we are producing .NET code. We can make it the other way around. We can make your FoxPro application consume some C# code. So you can not extend a C# application with FoxPro, but you can expand your FoxPro application with C#.
But also the other way around.
Yeah, it works both ways because we are now generating .NET code. Right? So if I look at the result, I have to set it as a startup. Yeah. I've done something wrong. Yeah.
I think you found it quite cool.
Yeah.
Should you in funk on both of those?
No. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm running my FoxPro application, creating the object, printing the result of the method call or the property of the field that we have in the object. But I can also call now some C# code and get some result from the C# into my FoxPro application.
I noticed you have function but not in func, or not in function.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary?
Yeah.
So if it's there, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except he just discovered the problem, so that's why we removed it. So, yeah, we are not completely there yet, that's what I said. And there may be some of these things in there, but in general, yeah, it should work.
Yeah, so what I have is that I'm extending my FoxPro code with C#.
Okay.
And if you run this in a debugger and you would do a step in on the C# or structure or get question, you would skip from our editor into the C# editor and back. It's just all one environment. This is what I think is the cool thing. So I don't think you wrote a constructor, but if you go into the read name or request,
Yeah. So now I am in C#. I didn't left I'm still running my application in Visual
you
Studio.
can see if you click on the call stack, you can actually see that one of the elements on the call stack is XSharp in the end, and the other one is C#. So Visual Studio knows about us, and it knows.
So I switch from one project to the other, whatever the language is, because it don't care, because we are all .NET. You know, so I can step into my C# application and come back in my FoxPro application the same way.
And we support stuff live and local, so that visible, and the whole debugging experience of Visual Studio is there.
Okay. Any question?
Can you instantiate that C# class using the create object function from FoxPro?
At this moment, no.
Okay, so you have to,
That's something we're looking into.
Yeah.
One of the things with the create object is it takes a string, and we need to extend it a bit to look also in the C# and stuff. But if it was written in XSharp, you could do that. You
Okay.
can always do that. I think the advantage of our syntax with the curlies is that if the class doesn't exist, the
Compile
compiler
error.
will tell you.
yeah.
If you do create object and you make a typo in the name, the compiler will happily accept it. And then it will tell you at runtime that it can find the class.
You know, I love the discipline of this approach, but I'm still just sort of poking at it from the perspective of legacy FoxPro
Yeah,
minds,
absolutely,
you know,
and
and
if you use the string, you can also instantiate Excel.application. That works. So that's also possible. By using it with the curlies, you can still do Excel application, but then you have to add a reference to a type library for Excel. So it works.
Okay, so now it's your choice. What I can show you is
So you still have to have, like you would in Visual Studio, using whatever this system dot whatever.
That's you have to do that. Except for we have a few usings that are automatically applied. So we do automatically do some usings to namespaces or types that we know that, for example, your left function is stored in. So we take care of that.
Okay.
And if you have a assembly written in XSharp, you can also set a property to say whatever is in this assembly, make it always visible, so you don't have to worry about usings. But we support the using syntax, and if you do something from, let's say, the system collection generic namespace, or you want to use a dictionary of a particular type, then you have to do using system collection generic, or you fully qualify the name.
Okay,
Either one or the other.
but if we check, we want to use FoxPro as our code within XSharp, rather than XBase++ or XHard or whatever, then you already take care of behind the scenes
Yeah.
using whatever that we need.
Yeah, what you do is when you start a project, we put in some references already. So if
Right.
you start a FoxPro console, we put in a reference to the FoxPro runtime from XSharp.
Right,
And
okay.
the FoxPro runtime in XSharp also tells the XSharp runtime that your favorite flavor of DBFs is DBF, CDX3, FPT with extended FoxPro patch.
Right, okay.
And if you do it with a VO1, the default RD or the default database driver will be DBF NTX DBT, because that's what the default in VO is. So we just, by selecting FoxPro, you get a library there that already takes care of some things that you're used to.
Okay.
So, for example, when you're in Visual Studio, I just started a fresh copy of Visual Studio. I can create a new project. I select XSharp as a language, and I have different templates. From there, I can choose a FoxPro console application. Okay, and what it does, it put all the needed references on the right, so it does support the Visual FoxPro stuff specifically, and it started with an entry point that is okay for the compiler, and so now, okay, I can start to write my code there using the FoxPro syntax.
If you work with Visual Studio 2019, then this new project dialog will be completely different. And it will be a bit more difficult to find it, but if you open the languages combo there, you see XSharp, then you will start seeing our project. But Microsoft has done a terrible job in 2019, and I think all the experienced Visual Studio developers are complaining about it because this dialog is a mess. If you know what you're doing, you still have to look in the dialog. But anyway, we are in both environments available.
So 2019 hasn't really been released, it's just in pre-release stages.
No, actually it's released in March, and for 2017 we were release partners, but actually we refused to become release partners for 2019 because it was unusable. So our projects were invisible in the project dialog, in the new project dialog. But they had set, the marketing had set a release date, it should be released when they did the conference, and no matter whether it was finished or not, they released it anyway. But they have now two separate versions online. You see a released version and they have a preview version. And in the preview version they test new features. When the new features are stable, they're going to move them to release. What's difficult for us is that they release new versions every month. And they break things every month.
Wow.
So we have it's difficult enough to do our own stuff, but we also have to keep checking if they have broken some of our stuff in the previews before they move it to the release channel.
So you're having to do regression testing.
Yeah, but then they regression test C# and VB. They don't regression test XSharp. So if they change the feature that tells the VB team you have to do something in your editor for IntelliSense or something like that, but they don't tell us, then we'll have to figure it out because one of you guys discovers something's not working anymore, or even worse, that it crashes, or locks up Visual Studio. We've seen that happen, unfortunately. But we're not complaining because it is nice that you have everything in there, and they do put new features in there that are good, but it's a little bit difficult to keep up with them.
Yeah.
Especially since they do not technically document the changes. They put something in there, we improved the IntelliSense experience for C#. Whatever they have done, of course they do not document it. So we have to actually look in the source code on the web from the visible stuff, what they have done, and see if we need to do something similar.
So, what I can show you now is either we go to, because we have seen the very beginning of this presentation, so maybe we can have a look at what .NET allows us to add as a language, like type checking, var declaration, constant check, lock, switch, and so on. It could be, we could continue the session this way, or if you prefer, I have something else for you. We can have a look at all that we have in .NET in terms of graphical interface. So tell me, what presentation do you prefer? Do you want to go graphic or do you want to go, let's say, language based? I don't know. I'm ready for both.
Are you do graphics?
Yeah.
Graphic, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's go. So as we are a .NET compiler, we are supporting the .NET graphic library. So currently we are supporting WinForms, which is, let's say, the good old window forms and control and so on. But we are also supporting WPF, the Windows Presentation Foundation, which allow us to have more sexy interface with styling and so on. So we are supporting that. Next, what would be good is that we could support what was universal window platform application, UWP, which are now called WinUI application. And this WinUI graphic library does only exist in .NET Core, in fact, and not in .NET Framework. So it means that we should support that. In fact, in terms of compiler, we are already supporting it because we don't have to write it, because Microsoft has done the job, because we are using the Microsoft compiler. So Microsoft is supporting .NET Core, Microsoft is supporting WinUI, so the compiler knows how to do it. So we are supporting it, except that currently we don't have written the tools in order to make Visual Studio recognize XSharp as a WinUI compatible language. Because Visual Studio is able to do everything as soon as you tell him how to do it. Everything is here, but we have to plug our own project system, our own language at the right place. We have done that for WinForms, we have done that for WPF. Now we will have to do that for WinUI and .NET Core. So it's not ready now in Visual Studio, but if you have some code, we can, Robert has a video on YouTube about that. You can already produce some .NET Core application, but you will have to run the compiler on the command line. Okay? So in terms of compiling, we are supporting that. In terms of environment, sorry, it doesn't work now. So if I go ahead on WinForms, what we are supporting is all the standard controls that we have, like a checkbox, review button, calendar, and all the controls that you have in WinForms. Okay, as we are running .NET application, we are able to run it. So let's have a look of some, let's say.
Yeah, if we could borrow one of those Microsoft Teams for a few weeks, we would have it done. But yeah, it's a question of time. And they would probably also know how some of the things do, where we have to just figure out how to do it. It's unfortunately not everything is documented.
So this is the language you will see now is more what we call XSharp core. Okay, this is not FoxPro because I'm doing things that FoxPro has no idea.
You see the class syntax is a bit different. We do not have as, but we use the inherit keyword. That's what we inherited from visual objects. And things are called methods now instead of functions and procedures. But in the end, both compile to the same .NET language.
Okay, but what I can do is open a WinForm inside Visual Studio, use the Visual Studio Designer, put my control on it, so I can add something, I don't know what, if you have an idea. I will already have some daytime pickers I could download. Let's say numerical up and down. Okay. Right. And what is happening, in fact, if I have a look at the on the right side, is that Visual Studio is managing two files. One is called the name of my window with .designer.prg as an extension. This is the code that the visual designer will generate to create my window the way I draw it. So if I have a quick look at that file, it is quite ugly, but okay, what I have is all the necessary code in order to produce the windows the way I design it. But okay, you don't want to touch that code because this is the Windows Designer part. It does generate that. And if you make a change here, if you move something, it will regenerate the code on it. So you will lose the change. That's why we have another file which has the name of the window, which is the one I double click on it to open it in the window designer. But I can also right click, view code, and this is my code.
The big difference with FoxPro is that FoxPro stores the form definition in one file and runs code, and in this case FoxPro, the code's also in there, but in memo fields and stuff like that, or it interprets whatever it's in there. Visual Studio or Windows Net, Microsoft Net runs on source code. So even the editor uses the source code. So you could also do a search and replace on all your forms and change blue to red, and all your forms will also open up in the editor in red. So that's a good and bad thing at the same time, because it's easy to correct.
So okay, so I can have in my application any of the standard Windows stuff in terms of WinForm control and WinForm, all the calendars and so on. Everything is here. Okay, so I can anyway move elsewhere and go back to aujourd'hui, which means today. Sorry, my computer is in French. Okay, and I can go back to the today element in the calendar. You know, so all this is generated by the designer, and on top of it, for example, what I had here is if I check the box, where is it? If I check the box, let's make it a little bit bigger. If I check the box, I will enable a timer. A timer is an invisible control that I put on my window. So as soon as the timer is enabled, it will call the timer click, and the timer click will add some value to the progress bar. That's why my progress bar is moving along, because the timer is adding some information every tick to the progress bar. But I can also uncheck that and get the information from the slide, and there move the progress bar corresponding to the slide that I move. So everything here is event driven, and what I have to do in my window, I can, for example, choose the slide, then go to the property window on the right, and on the property window I can set the state of my slide, so I can change the size, the color, the background, the number of ticks, and so on. And there is a storm? No, light. Lightning, sorry. There is a lightning on the right, and here I can set all the events that my control is able to reply to. Okay, so all the list is here. I just have to choose scroll, and if I double click on scroll, it will jump in the corresponding part of the code, and there, okay, I just have to fill the corresponding code, the corresponding logic that I want under the scrolling event on the trackpad. You know, that's the way the Windows Form editor is working. You design it, you change the state, you change the property in the designer, and you can even hook all the events you need for the control into your code through that window.
Now this project is in core, I think.
Yeah.
That's why Fabrice uses the self keyword and a colon. If we switch the project to FoxPro, you could use this and a dot. So it's a question. We adapt our language to the preferences of the original language, basically.
So, okay, these are for the standard control, but I can also call a web browser. If I want to have the web browser in my application, the web browser is part of the standard Windows Form control. So in fact, currently it's an Internet Explorer control under the hood, but it works. I can go anyway. I can try to go. Where is it? Simple web. How long time?
Between 5 and 10 minutes, and then
Okay.
I want to wrap it up.
I will go to DBFs then, just to show you that.
Show you WinForm and Linux.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm at the SWFox website into my WinForm application, and okay, it is, you know, I'm live. I'm using the Internet Explorer controls. I have nothing to do there. What I've just done in my WinForm window, I just set a place in order to enter the address, and then down here what I have, if I have a look on the right in the property, this is a web browser control, and it came from the toolbox. You see, these are all the standard controls that are available in WinForms.
So you don't need ActiveX, and it also runs in 64-bit. And in FoxPro you can do an ActiveX for the web browser, but it won't run in 64-bit. If you use the VFP Advanced, this will run both 32 and 64-bit.
But the question is, okay, what about DBF? What if I want to run some DBF in a WinForm application? So do we have grid? Do we have browse? Because I'm pretty sure that you are using something like browse some data in your application. Okay, so you need to have a grid. There is a grid in WinForm. Okay, you can buy some third-party products that have nice colors, background, and so on. But if you just need a simple browse in your Windows form, okay, there is something that does exist. It is a data grid view control that exists in WinForm as a standard. So what we can do is
While we're starting, our samples are not on the conference website, but we'll put a download on our website where you can download all the samples so you can play with them at home as well.
So what I've done, I have a window with a menu and a toolbar and a status strip, and in the middle I put a data grid view, which is what I have there in the property. And I've set the data grid view. There is a property in the WinForm which is dock, and dock allows you to specify that a control will dock in the container, dock into, in fact, the window. So when I resize the window, when I change the size, top, left, right, whatever you want, the control will expand in order to dock in the part you specify. So you can put the control on the top, bottom, left, right, and I said fill. So that's why my grid view is in the middle gray area of the window, and when I will drag my window, it will expand, it will fill the area in the middle of the window. Currently, my data grid view is empty, so I see no columns. Because what I was willing to show you is that you can create a grid on the fly. So what we will do is choose a DBF, then open the DBF file, and when you open the DBF file, you can query the DBF to check what are the field names, how many fields do we have in the DBF, what are the field names inside the DBF. And what I'm doing, I'm creating as many columns as needed to fit, to get all the fields. And then I will fill the grid with the data. So it depends on the DBF that you are opening. That's why now, currently, you have no column inside, because I'm creating the column at runtime. Okay? So if I have a quick look at the code, so I have a standard window dialog, which is open file dialog, which allows me to choose the DBF. This is a standard window control, okay? And when I open the DBF, what I do is I use the file, but I'm not using the command. I'm using the function because that's the way I'm used to it. Then what I do is I check how many fields you have in the DBF, and then I get the field name, each field name that we have in the DBF. And with that, I'm creating columns in the data table. Then I go on the top of my DBF and I add a row in my table, and for each row I add all the information that I have in the DBF using a field get. I read the content of the field based on their position in the DBF. After that, I skip to the next record, and when it's done, I will close my DBF file.
Yeah. And this do while, go top do while, you skip and you could just have been scan and scan. Would just the same. That's something we do behind the scene if you use scan and scan.
And finally, I attach that new information to the data grid. So what's happening here is that I can open the standard window dialog. I can choose the DBF file and then retrieve the structure of the DBF file, add as many columns needed as it is needed, and then fill that grid with the corresponding information. Okay, so what I have here is a kind of browse. I suppose it looks a little bit the way that the browse that you have in FoxPro. And you see that, okay, I had to rewrite it, but it's not so much complicated. And if I want, I put that into a browse function and let the compiler recognize the browse function as a browse command. And I'm done.
Yeah, we'll do something like that just for a simple, quick and dirty browse.
In our world, the browse that would be directly tied to the data. So in other words, within our, we opened up a browse window, we put the cursor in the last name field and decided to change it from Smith to Jones. The DBF is updated accordingly.
Yeah.
So
This does
consideration for that.
No, we are absolutely aware of that. What we will do is create a method, or I should say method, but a technology or a function call or whatever. Then you say take the current cursor and expose it as a data table.
Right.
And then if you update something, it writes it back into the cursor.
Right.
Fabrice has done a quick and dirty copy it over, and now you have, let's say, a disconnected information in your data table, but we'll also give you a connected data table.
No, this is great for display.
Yeah, but we'll give you a connected one, so if you need to fix something in the DBF, you can just do it.
Yeah.
And it will probably be an option in the browse function or browse, whatever we do, say read only yes or no.
I won't show you here now because I think we won't have time. But in fact, when in the data grid, when you are making changes, the data grid keep a memory of the changes, and each line it's called a data row. So when you make a change in a data row, the data row will have a flag. In fact, it's an enumeration, it's a state. And that flag indicates that the line has been deleted, added, or modified. So what we can do is post-process this information, enumerate all the line, and check if, okay, no change in the line, no change in the DBF. You have added the line, okay, append blank, and replace the field. You have made a modification in the row, okay, field put, save the data. This is something we can do because the grid, is doing that.
So that's something that we don't have in FoxPro, which is when we have a browse, it's not buffered. I mean, if you make a change, it's there, but you could buffer it and allow us to say, hey, changes were here. Do you want to add
currently
this?
I'm disconnected. So
But we'll do that,
any change that I make, any change that I make here are not reported to the TBF because I'm disconnected.
Right.
But I can put an event in the form closing, which means that as soon as the window is closed, it will call my event handler, and from there I can scan all the rows and check which have been modified or not, added or not, deleted or not. And you can ask your user, okay, do you want to save the change or not?
We'll give you the option, we do a browse command just to give you start, I will give you an option of buffered or unbuffered. And unbuffered will directly write it, but then you could have partial transactions because you may have changed the street but not the city.
Right.
Or you can do buffered and then you either write it all or you write nothing.
And one thing I think is amazing about this is you're up here saying, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to do this, and that's awesome. You guys are going to be super busy, but guess what? This thing is a community project. Any one of us could sit here and write the code to do the very things you're talking about. Write libraries, compile them as DLLs, put them in projects, make them on an open source project that you can download. And these guys can say, when somebody says, hey, can you make it do this? And it says, you know what? You can, he can,
Right.
anybody out here. They've done the low level work to make the capabilities there. Any one of us can add the missing features and sort of implement what was there.
If you think it's worth putting this in the product, or if you did something that's awful and someone else says we need to have this standard in the product, you can just ask us to include it. In Git, all our sources on Git. So if you open the help file and you go to a function, there's a button there, go to the source, and it will bring you straight to the correct file on GitHub, on the correct line of code, and you can see what we've done. So the truth is in the source. If you don't trust us, you can see what we've done. Or if it doesn't behave that you expect, and you can see, oh, but the guys are not checking for, let's say, a null string or a string that's null, and you can help us improve that.
Right.
So you can also, in GitHub, it's called forking, you can create a clone of our repository, make the modification, say, oh, I've done a great job, I fixed your bug. You're going to push it to us, or you're going to send us what we call a pull request, and then we say, thank you, and we include it, or we say, your quality is not our quality. We'll take your suggestion, but we'll do it in a different way, but thanks at least for the suggestion. My gut feeling is that we'll probably include it, just the way it is, unless it's really, really dirty.
So as the clock is running, while Robert was talking, I've repeated the same process that I've made in the very beginning. I've just copy-paste all my destination folder, my binary debug folder to my Linux virtual machine. Because in fact, in Linux, Mono is supporting part of the GUI library. It doesn't support WPF, but it does support most of the WinForms, except, for example, the web browser doesn't work because the web browser is Internet Explorer. Okay, try to run Internet Explorer on Linux.
So you were lying when you said that GUI doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a bit true, because if I file open, I will have a kind of standard window open file dialog, but don't forget that I am in Ubuntu. Okay, and I can choose my TBF file, and the same that I've made previously in the terminal environment, in the console environment, I can open my TBF, enumerate the fields, and fill the data in the data grid, because the data grid view is also supported in Linux.
But don't tell the customers, because they want to run it tomorrow, and it's going to take you a while. If you go Linux, you have to learn a few things, especially in operating systems case sensitive. File names are case sensitive. We've been bitten by that. We couldn't get it to run because we had some DLL in uppercase hard-coded, and the DLL on this was lowercase, and it just couldn't find the DLL. So there are some things to be careful with. But if you open your file with a file open dialog, you'll know you were going to get the DBF in the proper casing, because that's what the file takes care of. But it just works. I think it's great. I had no idea, and Fabrice can show you the same thing. It's ridiculous, of course, but running on your...
Yeah, on the Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is Mono too. I don't think why you would run a WinForms app on Raspberry Pi, but if you have some data processing that you want to do on a Pi, write it in .NET, it just works. It's awesome.
So we only have 3 minutes.
Let me finish off.
Yeah, okay. So if you want to see more, maybe we change the session this afternoon, I don't know, or we can meet at the booth, or we will talk about that tomorrow also. So, okay.
I'm sorry to have to cut you off, but if people have other things to do, and I have some exciting conclusion at the end. Okay, come on, show me something. Why doesn't it work?
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, I'm just impatient. Good. If you don't like Visual Studio, you're not alone. We have a colleague in Greece who hates Visual Studio. He hates it so much that he has created his own IDE. It's called XIDE. You can work with that too. It's a small, like notepad kind of environment with some tools in there, and you can just compile and run. It's part of an installation, and it was one of the first projects that was running in XSharp. He started with that in Visual Object and Vulkan, and we ported it over. So it's great. You don't have to use it, but if you are wondering why it's on there, it's because Chris wants it in there. Or we have a few customers who just don't want to touch Visual Studio either. So you're not alone if you don't like it. It's not Visual FoxPro, but it looks a bit like it. Okay. One of the important questions to finish up: what does it cost and where do you get it? Well, it's free. That's stupid, of course, but it's free. The binaries are available for free. The source is available for free. The source is on GitHub. We also provide a free online forum. So yeah, it's free, and on the online forum you have peer-to-peer support. We have a subscription system because we have houses and mortgages, and we have wives and children who want to study. So we have a subscription, and you can subscribe if you want, if you think we are doing a good job. And you will get priority support, and you'll get more frequent updates from the binaries. We do about a public release every 3-4 months, but our customers who are subscribed get almost a monthly rhythm new releases. We're so fast that Eric Stelje had a problem because when he finished his paper, he said this isn't working, that isn't working, and a few days later it was working. So that's the only problem I think you'll have, that we are changing things so fast that you have trouble keeping up. It costs $999 per year per developer, the subscription. If you use this discount code and write it down, because I'm not going to push it on the web, year for 2019, you'll get a 50% discount on your first year. So this gives you more frequent updates and what we call priority support. So when we see a question coming from a subscriber, we'll make sure that you get an answer within a day or maybe 2 days. But usually it's like within the hour. One of the advantages is we're a European team, but one of our Greek colleagues, he can't stand working during daylight. So we sort of are 24/7 online. So, and this is good. The bad thing is that he also doesn't travel for health reasons, so that's why we don't bring him to a conference like this. Anyway, November 30, this code is over. Where do you get it? www.XSharp.info, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. You'll probably have seen us. We also have, let's just finish it. So it's free, but we do appreciate your support. And we've started FoxPro because we think it's worth doing it. But if there's no interest in the FoxPro community, guess what? If there's interest in other communities, how do you think we prioritize our development? Yeah. So it helps if some of you guys subscribe. I think that's it for now. We have to finish, it's 11:15. Come and see us tomorrow, or at the booth, or maybe this afternoon if you want to see more. Yeah, question.
Do you have any converter tools or anything, or is that also in consideration?
We show you tomorrow or this afternoon or at the booth. We have a tool for visual objects. We just take a whole project and convert it to a Visual Studio solution. We plan to do that for Fox as well. So we take your project and we extract the forms, and we extract the reports and the menus and the controls and build a Visual Studio solution from them. So we'll do that, but we need some help there for people who understand FoxPro, because we really don't understand FoxPro. It was complicated enough for me to get a prime sample running. I have got some extra gray hair from that, so to understand the whole of FoxPro is a bit complicated, but we'll do it here. If you want, we brought a few boxes of coffee mugs, and I don't want to bring them home because I have to pay for it. So please come and get one here or at the booth, but we want to get rid of them. So if you haven't one or you want two, go ahead and come. First come, first serve.
Estimated time, you guys think you'll be pretty close to done, or?
We're never done.
Well, but good enough for release, have the converter done,
It depends on what you want. Like if you want to start...
If you want web services,
it's done. It's done.
So we're done, okay? But because no problem with GUI and so on. So if you just need, let's say, get your form next while scan in, scan, use DBF and generate some terminal information just like in web services, yeah, we're done. Okay, thank you, it was nice. But okay, I'm pretty sure that most of you have desktop application. So one of our questions was, maybe still is, what do we do? Do we port their form definition that they have in FoxPro to WinForms? And so they can use the WinForm designer that we have in Visual Studio, okay, and extend it with third party and so on. Or do we try to rebuild a kind of layer to make the application respect what you have in FoxPro? If we go this way, it may take longer than if we go to WinForms. So we are more keen to go WinForms. But you are the user, you know? So we need to hear you. We need to.
And reporting is a similar issue. What do we do with reporting? If every one of you uses the standard report, we have no choice. But we've heard over here that many of you say standard reports are nice, but we need more, and we're using other reporting engines. So those things are driven by the user. We try to be a user-driven project.
I just want to encourage everybody here. We've all seen previous attempts for people to come in and say they're going to do new things with, you know, with FoxPro, give it a new life, all these things. I think these guys have a big jump start on it already. I encourage us as a community. I mean, they're cutting the annual support membership to somewhere around $500. Even if you just for the matter of supporting the work that these guys are doing, they're giving away their consulting time, their paid time with their clients to sit around and work for us. So I hope the community becomes very responsive to these guys financially initially and maybe ongoing. Join the forums, create a user account, get in there, look at some of the postings that go along each day, and try to help spread the word in the community to let this be a successful venture for these guys.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thanks a lot.
Anyways, thanks a lot.
Okay. See you.
Thank you.